Hi, this is Cheryl Smith, and I'm going to show you how to make a shutter card today. Here's our shutter card. It has a band around it to hold it closed. You'll slide it off, and you open it up, and there's your message. Let's do it again. There we go. All right, so today I'm going to show you how to make one of these. We're going to be using the Parcels and Petals set. This is in the new catalog on page 27. It's also here in the front of the catalog, which shows all of our bundles. This one is a bundle because it has coordinating dies that help you make cute little boxes. We're not using those dies today, but maybe in a future video. There is one stamp from the Varied Vases, this Birthday Wishes, that I'm going to be using for a saying. Other than that, we're going to exclusively use the Parcels and Petals. All right, let's get started. First, we're going to need a piece of gray granite cardstock. It's 8.5 by 5.5, and we're going to score 2 1/8 from each end. I'm going to use the Simply Scored tool, and I already have these marked. This one we're going to use in a minute, but the 2 1/8 is what we're going to use now. You're just going to slide right down from there and then pull it towards you, flip it around, and also from the other edge, slide it right down and pull it towards you. So 8.5 by 5.5, score 2 1/8 from each edge. Now we're going to fold these. Whoops, I already have that one stuck on there. Try to save a little time. Fold this one with my bone folder. There we go, creates a nice neat edge. We'll take that off. I have DSP cut into 2 pieces. Each piece is 1 7/8 by 5 1/4. And because this one does have a nice pattern, I try to keep the pieces that I cut together. You see how I cut that right off? So we'll stick it down there so it coordinates. All of our DSP does have 2 sides. This DSP is from the Woven Threads suite in the catalog, and it features our 2019-2021, that seems so weird to say, in colors. And this one is Pretty Peacock. We're going to also be using this coordinating ink pad. All right, so we have our panels on the front. That part's done. Let's set that aside. Now let's work on creating this band that goes all the way around. First, we're going to do the band itself. This is Old Olive, 1.5 by 11. Go ahead and peel that off. We're going to be using this stamp from the Parcels and Petals stamp set. And we're using Pear Pizzazz ink. It's just a little bit lighter than the Old Olive. And we're using that for our leaves, and I'm just going to continue to use that. Oops, didn't quite do as good a job as I thought. Let's press a little harder. Too much talking, not enough pressing. Hold it down for a few seconds. Pick it straight back up. We're going to make sure it's lined up fairly well. Hold it down for a few seconds, straight back up. And one more time, hold it down for a few seconds. Try not to rock it back and forth. That'll create a double image. All right, close that up. Now we're just going to take this piece that we stamped and we're going to wrap it around. And I know that might stick out a little bit, so we're going to trim that excess off. And then I'm just going to put a little adhesive here and a little adhesive here on this edge. So these 2 edges, and then I'll wrap it around. And I don't wrap it super tight because I want it to slide off and on easily. And this will actually be the Oops, no, that will actually be the back. That's right, we're gonna put the circle right here over the top. So let's set that aside and let's work on the circle. I ran this through the die cut machine, and it is our stitched circle die. I believe it's our largest one. I really like these, I use them a lot. That stitching around the outside edge just makes a little bit of interest. All right, so we're gonna stamp this at half strength. Just stamp that over there in the corner, and then I'll put this right here in the middle. Again, straight back down, hold it a few seconds, pick it right back up, and you can see the difference. That is quite a bit darker. So if you want a lighter image in that same shade, just stamp off, and then you can have a little bit lighter colored ink. All right, for the leaves, we're going to use Pear Pizzazz. We're going to use this little stamp that also comes in the Parcels and Petals. We'll just stamp a few random leaves, try to get them going in all different directions. And notice I am stamping this one at full strength. Pear Pizzazz, again, is a lighter color of ink. It comes from the Soft Subtles family, and it was just a perfect green for this peacock flower. All right, we'll close that up. Now, I'm going to put a few dimensionals on this circle, and I want to make sure that they're going to fit on the belly band. If there's one up here, it would stick to your card, and that wouldn't be good. So maybe we'll just do this. We'll put the belly band right here, put a couple of dimensionals, move that one right there, peel those off. And these look a little irregular because they're cut out of the edge of the dimensionals. I don't want to waste any materials, so I always cut all the edge pieces and use those as well. All right, so now we need to do the best wishes. This piece of gray granite cardstock is 3 by 5/8 of an inch. You could do it a little narrower, a little wider, depending on the saying that you're going to use. Let's go ahead and just flip that up. Ink up the best wishes. Again, this one's from the Varied Vases. Straight down, straight back up. All right, now I could cut these at an angle, cut them straight, or I'm gonna trim off a little bit, and then I cut right up the center, and I cut from each corner to the middle, and that just makes a nice little notch. Pull those out. Try to do this side about the same. I don't worry if it's not exact. So we'll trim those triangles out. And there you go. All right, we're also going to put dimensionals on the back of this. I like to add dimensionals. They give a little bit of depth and interest, and everything's not quite so flat. All right, so we'll put that right about there. There we go. Front of our card is all done. Slide that off. Now we're going to work on the inside part. So for the inside, that panel that you saw, you start with a piece of gray granite that's 3 by 5.5. And then this is a piece of Whisper White cardstock that I stamped using that same technique of stamping off so that it would coordinate on the inside. If you wanted to, you could certainly use a piece of our Designer Series paper on the inside, but I wanted those to match. So the gray granite, which is the matte base, 3 by 5.5, and then this front Whisper White cardstock is 2 by 3/4 and 5 1/4. I did use one of our circle dies. Did use one of our circle dies and roll that through. Make sure when you do that you leave enough room at the top for these pieces to not run into your dimensionals. I don't know if you can see that, but I've got dimensionals right there, and you want to make sure that there's going to be enough room at the top for those to move freely. So we've got this part done, this part done. Now we have to do the shutter pieces. You're going to need 2 of these. They are 3.5 by 4, and we're going to score at 1/2 inch. So let's get our scoring tool back out. And remember when I said this was going to be for another purpose? This is it. 1/2 inch. Make sure it's all in there. This is the 4-inch side. This is the 3.5 inch side. So essentially, what you're doing, if you take that 1/2 inch off the 4, it's 3.5 by 3.5. So this piece is going to be used as our flap. I'm going to lay that down. Going to use some tear and tape. And we want that to cover as much ground as we can on this. And we'll wait just a second to peel that off, because what we're going to do is find, move this paper over a little bit so you can see that better. Find a center point on here, and I'm going to use my grid paper. I use the grid paper quite a bit as a ruler. So you can see this is the 3.5 inch side. Halfway point on that is 1 3/4. Halfway point on this side is the 2-inch line. So, whoops, turn that around so it makes it easier for you. Here is the 2-inch, and that's the middle going on the 4-inch side. So we're going to slide that down to the middle line, which is 1 3/4. Do you feel like we're working on geometry with the X and Y axis? Takes you back, doesn't it? All right. So we're going to put this little dot right here in the middle. And again, use your grid paper. Use this line to make sure that this is straight. Now we're going to take our ruler from the corner to the dot, make a line. Take our ruler from the other corner to the dot, make a line. You'll do that on both pieces for your shutters. And use your paper snips. These are nice and super sharp. Work great for trimming paper. All right, so now we have this piece. We're gonna fold that, and I fold it back and forth just to make it nice and flexible, and you'll see why in just a second. Here's the other one. So now we have 2. Let's pull this back down. So, to get these into place, we're not going to stick this down anywhere. We're just going to use it to kind of gauge where it needs to go. So I'll center it and kind of hold it in place. And I want to get this point in our shutter piece to be central up and down. I'm not going to worry about it side to side so much, but definitely in the vertical you want it to be fairly even. Now the other thing we need to worry about is this crease over here. You don't want it in the crease, but right next to the score line that starts the crease. If it helps, you can fold that down and it'll kind of push it just enough. And I think I want to scoot it up just a tiny bit. There we go. All right. So now we're going to peel the paper off the tear and tape. And then I'm going to come back in here and make sure, I don't know if you can see that, it's right up next to that edge. And then I'm just going to close that up. And when it does, it grabs a hold of that. And that's what's going to pull your shutter piece on this side. So let's get that out of the way. We're going to take the tear and tape off of our second piece. And the nice thing about this one is you can just use your first one to line that up. So make sure those sides match up. Stick into the tape. Make sure it's not in the crease but next to it. Fold that over. Now you've picked up the other side. Great. All right. Now let's work on that center saying. Again, with the Peacock ink. And I don't close these all the way. I don't know if you noticed that. It just makes it easier to get my thumb in there and push it to close. I have it almost, but not quite. All right, so our saying is birthday cheer to you all year. Let's ink that up. Test it. Yep, that looks great. All right. We're going to stamp that right in the middle. There we go. Now, let's lay this in here. And I kind of move that to where I think that is perfectly where I want it. Hold it with my finger. And this little technique is thanks to my stamping friend, Jane. Jane, thank you. So we'll just make those marks. We're going to put some snail adhesive, and you do not want to use dimensionals on this one. You don't want this to stick up. You want it to be nice and flat and smooth. All right, there we go. Now we're ready to peel the back off of these dimensionals. Just try to do that very quickly. Again, the card base and pieces are gray granite. It's a great neutral color. It's not really gray, it's not really tan. It's just a really nice neutral color. All right, so I'll get that centered before I press it down. Yep, that's right where I want it. Last, you can see this shutter is on the top. So let's close this one. And you see how those points are sticking out? You can trim those ahead of time, or you can wait until now to trim them. Either way, you just want to trim those little points off so that nobody sees those. I don't know why I can't slide that under there. There we go. All right, those are snipped off. So, close, open, birthday cheer to you all year. Let's get our belly band. We'll slide that on. And done. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you liked any of the products and you'd like to purchase those to make your own shutter card, please visit www.cherylsmith.stampinup.net. And again, this is the Parcels and Petals stamp set. And this card is called the Shutter Card. I did get inspiration for the front design from Julie Davison. Thank you for sharing. And I watched a couple of videos to learn how to make a shutter card by Tina Zink and Sandy MacIver. One of the great things about being a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator is you have a whole family of people to help you learn. You don't have to do all of this on your own. And if you'd like to join my family, again, www.cherylsmith.stampinup.net, and find all the information you need there, or I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. Have a good day. Bye.